Hello. Good
Okay, that
evening,
was
and
a
welcome
glitch.
to. That's okay. It actually looks smooth on our end, so that's all that's important.
Yeah.
It did go across being smooth, so I'm glad. I'm glad it worked that way. We didn't get the countdown and get everybody ready, but it's all right. It is
That's right,
typically
because
all
all we
right.
gotta do is
Now
know the
we'll
song.
go ahead and go.
Follow me.
Yeah. That is the truth. Welcome, everybody. Good evening, y'all, and welcome to the truth behind the
The
truth.
truth.
Gonna be a night tonight, or night of nights, of night of nights. Now we're
Get your
going to
wine ready,
apologize for
because we're
y'all.
gonna talk.
Okay, I know that's right.
It's about
Get your wine.
time.
Yeah. So we're going to apologize just a little bit. We're still working on the dimensions on how this new setup is going to be. So, you're going to see us lean in on some of it because y'all was criticizing us about it. All right. Thank you, Charles. We're going to do a snake eating.
A snake.
Yeah.
A mess.
But we're trying to work on that. It's just this format that now that Instagram is live with us, it takes over your cameras and you can't. I know I'm getting technical, but some of y'all don't even want to pay attention to it. But the one side of it doesn't adjust to a full screen like it should. So you see us up on the top of Instagram and the lower. All right, but we his.
Yeah,
Weez is his. Weez is his. Okay, Weez is his. I want to welcome you tonight. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in to Truth Behind the Truth tonight.
Yes.
I am inviting some of you all that care to be a part of the show. Just click on your Facebook and it'll bring you right on over. If you do have trouble accessing us on the Facebook, you can always go to YouTube. Okay. YouTube, just type in the information. It's right there. Just flip over there. You find us there as well. We're on every platform. We just need you to follow us on every platform.
True.
That we do. Like, share, like the like of the shares. All right. More so than ever, this year in 2026, because it's got to be a breakout year for the Truth Behind the Truth. It is.
Yeah.
We will have some more monthly guest of the month coming up pretty soon. We'll keep you informed on who that will be, and just keep getting excited with us. So we want to welcome our brother back to the land of the healthy. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm here.
I ain't gonna pick. I'm not making no pass at you now, Charles. Okay, it's a long distance to make a pass at you, but you really have a great smile, especially with that AI. When the opening now, he has I didn't realize you had such a great smile because you don't smile that much.
Looking like a picket fence, a big ass picket fence, teeth just as big as I don't know what. Look like giant chiclets.
That is a really good shot of you, though. I'm glad I got creative enough to make it work. For our opening, because we didn't have an opening in the beginning because of a lot of software issues. So at least we have that now.
I'm anti-AI. I'm going to dating apps, and now these girls are using these AI photos for themselves. That ain't them. Now then you find out when you see them, go, you don't look like your picture. Oh, those were AI photos. Girl, you need to come up off that. That's not going to work.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Wow.
But if you're able to make AI a part of your psyche, it's really, really, really good, to help you get things done. We've seen some accomplishments by utilizing AI.
Well, that's where things are heading these days.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of things are heading these days. They're trying to get people to be AI literate.
Yeah,
because most of
them are illiterate.
Well, I don't know. Some people are finding ways.
Yeah,
you're talking about Charles. You're talking about people going on dates and stuff like that. You say, well, the girls going on dates by themselves, or what were they doing?
No, what they're doing is that where you put your photos at, AI takes a picture and enhances it. So I took AI and asked it to. I should show it to you. I asked AI to give me some picture of different poses. It made me look like a Mexican, all this whipped over hairdo. It gave me all kinds of different looks.
Oh.
You could tell it was me, but it wasn't me. And now these girls are doing the same thing.
Right.
The lustrous bodies, the beautiful hair and skin. And even in person, it's nothing. You can tell it's the face, but it is not them. They've changed up everything because AI made them look better. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's going towards music too. A lot of people are not singing, AI's doing the work for them. So Nowadays, you just don't know if you're listening to somebody who actually can sing, or it's just AI doing its work.
Exactly.
So this is kind of off the charts crazy right now. You know, even the Republicans are starting to use a lot of AI.
Yep.
You know, especially when it boils to black MAGA.
But you got to understand with this new technology, there should be some guidelines, and they're not just like the internet. They sat on their butt so long till the internet got buck wild, couldn't pull it back in. Same thing's happening with AI. If you don't legislate like you need to, that's what you send them there for, is to make up the guidelines and rules. A lot of people don't know about net neutrality. Mm-hmm. Net neutrality was there with before Obama put it in, or it started, and Biden had the option. We was hoping Biden would get it, or Hillary, but Trump got it. And when net neutrality meant that we all get the same internet, no matter what we pay. I don't care if you paid $100, you still get the same internet as the people who pay $10. We all get the same. It's net neutrality. Trump came in and said, oh, hell no. You get what you pay for. And he put the FCC in there, and they got rid of net neutrality. So the only way you get the good internet is the more you pay, the better it gets. And that's crazy. I think that when you're looking at stuff like that, we should all have the same benefits. What's the purpose? People in the what you call it, the deserts, or the internet deserts where they can't really get signals, you're making it harder for them because they don't have the money to pay for all that to get that signal in there. So if you would just make it so that we all could utilize it, but of course everything is capitalist. Got to make money.
Oh, most definitely, and to be honest with you, what you just explained, what Obama and Biden, if we would have had Hillary, it would have been great. Kamala too. Yeah. If we would have had the same access to the same internet, that was you were just explaining socialism, which a lot of people could care less for. Right. And and that's the saddest thing, that we all should have the same, but then you have those who just don't think we should. You get what you paid for. Same thing with our healthcare.
Yeah, it is.
Now I think we're going to go up because of it.
Yeah, and the fact you want to make it public, what do you call it? I forgot what he called it, but make it public, where you give us the money and we figure out our health care. If that was the case, I'd become a doctor. That's the whole purpose of having health care, so somebody can help guide you through the loop, the whole loop and all the other stuff. You don't give me the money and say, now figure it out.
That is down.
$2,000 for everybody, and $2,000. Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah, but $2,000 ain't gonna pay for no health care.
No, you get a dental cleaning.
Are you serious?
That's crazy.
Yeah, for real. That ain't gonna pay for no health care. But $2,000. Okay, no, $2,000 to go get a doctor's appointment.
That's a businessman. That's how they think.
Yeah, man. Remember George Bush?
Businessman. That's what they think.
George Bush tried to privatize it. George Bush wanted us to invest in the stock market with our medical insurance. So that way, when it made money, we made money. But it wasn't making no money during Bush time. So that meant we just been losing. So they put money in that wasn't getting no benefit from it. Same with Social Security. He wanted to privatize it and put it into the Social Security, put it into the stock market. But we all know how the stock market is, like a roller coaster. It's up and it's down. So if you get sick or retire when it's down, you're screwed. It's not benefiting you at all. I just don't get it.
Yeah. But, that's so true. That's so true. I mean, it's unfortunate. Well, we've been over that several times, that, the state of that it is, and I personally wonder every day, and I know he and I are wondering about a lot of different things, at this point, personal and otherwise. It's like, how do you make decisions for for your life, and things like that? Because it seems like the employment and all these other type of things are just dominating people's lives. You can't do anything, because they don't want to pay you. At the end of the day, and you're overly well qualified in the process that they don't want to. To me, it's embarrassing, that when you're of a certain age, that at a minimum, at a certain age, you should be $35 to $40 an hour at a minimum. But that's at a minimum. That is just putting you in a decent position to pay your responsibilities at the end of the day. And that's just it. At a certain age, you should not be. I mean, if you're what is considered skilled and non-skilled labor, You know, I mean, at the end of the day, they always rate everything about who's skilled and who's not skilled, you know, in the process of that. So what is classified as skilled labor? You know, I mean, so you've been working on a job 20 years, you're supposed to be making $10 an hour. That's skilled labor, you know? Yep. So the marital increases are not there, you know, and all that type of stuff. But that, you know, that's systematic. You know, we can't blame that person in the warehouse, you know, I mean, for that, and because that's been going on for the longest period of time. They never did want to pay anybody. And I don't understand why Congress can't even get to a place that they are supportive of the American people to pay them. And then that's on both sides. And that's been going on forever.
Well, the shocker is that was considered the American dream, but the American dream is full of shit right now. Yeah. Because in order to fulfill the American, or to get to the American dream, you got to find a loophole. Uh-huh. And I won't complain. I don't give a damn. Right. Because, you know, life is too short. And I feel like at the end of the day, I should have a right to complain. You know, we work in this country. We work a lot. Right. People work, you know, more than what they need to work. I mean, jobs take up half of your day. Right. You know, forget about the 9 to 5s. There ain't no such thing unless you're working in somebody's cubicle, you know, trying to figure out the stats and whatever that you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, a lot of us are not doing 9 to 5s, and not and you know what? I have to give you. I found a way. Can you hear me?
Okay, it keeps blanking in and out. Yeah, it keeps going in and out.
Okay. The government messing with it. The government messing with it because we're complaining of Americans, so they don't want to hear from us. But to be honest with you, it's a fucked up situation. People are not able to afford things. Affordability is down the tubes, and you know you got people who live where they live in the upper crust of America, saying that y'all ain't working hard enough.
You know, that's weird.
You're not working hard.
We're looking. I get it, but this is
being a bunch of bitches.
Yeah, but this is the thing that bothers me. Okay, so as I enter this new age group of 65 plus, you know, where we have to do Medicare or Medicaid, whatever the hell you got to do. Well, there's differences in it between I'm a disabled vet, which means I'm automatically put into the system. I don't have a say so. And they automatically charge me $180, $200, whatever it is, a month to have it. So I don't even get to say yes, no, or can I think about it? And then they punish you if you have a 6-month window, 3 months before your birthday, the 65th birthday, and 3 to 4 months after. And if you don't make that window, you get penalized for life. What kind of bull crap is that? You're going to penalize me for life because I didn't make the window that you gave me and I didn't understand. And it's not only just Medicare, there's Medicare, Part B, Part C, Part D, and you got to know which ones they are, which ones you need. So no one's explaining that. I go to the VA and they still telling me we're not sure. We just know you automatically enroll. But yeah, but you're not telling me what I got to do and what my benefits are. You know, you leaving it up to me to figure that out, and that's not the purpose of that. You should be able to tell me what I'm getting. Don't just throw me in some say, all right, sink or swim, and I'm in there going, well, I don't know where to go. I'm stuck. So right, you know, hey, it's crazy.
You're a veteran. Ain't that some shit on a wrist cracker? That's something to think about. That's something to think about. You are a military vet doing shit like that.
But that's not the worst. You got black folks. You got black folks saying stop begging for handouts. There are black folks who saying we begging. I'm not begging for nothing. I paid into Social Security. I paid into that stuff. So I'm not begging nobody. Talking about black people need to stop begging, waiting for the government to get them a handout and go get a job. I paid into Social Security. I should get my Social Security because I paid into it. It's not a handout. It's giving me my money back you took from me all these years and to help me sustain after I get older. And I don't understand how people keep talking about just get a job. If jobs are that damn easy to get, we all be employed. But it's not that easy.
Right. That's true.
That's so true. They just make blanket statements because they themselves See, it's so funny. Like we keep saying, this is the American culture. It ain't affecting me until it affects me.
Right.
And, I'm so sorry that it's affecting you, but you need to do something for you. You need to do something about your situation. But I don't see no issue with it because it's not affecting me at the moment. Right. So, that's the one thing I can say. That's why we're in this mess.
Uh-huh.
That's why we're in this.
Yep.
And we're going to stay in this until we all as a collective figure this out together. You cannot depend on politicians to do what as Americans we are capable of doing for ourselves, thinking. But then you have a lot of people who don't think at all, and this is the reason why. Yeah, whatever that's going on in Minneapolis is going to happen nationwide. I don't care what. Minneapolis is the testing tube for every damn thing that is going on, and I'm happy that it's happening right now. Because when are we going to wake up?
Well, I
when are we going to wake up?
The justification of all of that, but that's interesting. You brought up her name was Renee.
Renee Good.
Yeah, in the process of this is just very, very sad. And that clown today on his taking up airtime on regular television, he finally admitted that the situation that was going on with her losing her life was an unfortunate thing. Bad things happen, but we've got to keep in the whatever jargon that he was putting together on that. But but he didn't call out Plastic Barbie and her insensitive opportunities to say what she said. And she said the worst out of everything. Because he acted like he didn't know, and she knew, and she said the worst things on Plastic Barbie ass. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So we want to, because we're going to get back to him in a little bit, about what he talked about today and all that, what his administration has done in the past year. He has broken all kind of records.
Doing what?
That's what I'm saying. Broken all kind of records. He probably went to Mar-a-Lago and took them vinyls and broke them all. That's all on records he done broke. Everything that he's accomplished, in 1 year's time. No administration ever, join us, y'all. Say it together. Ever has done what he has done. And that's something.
That's wonderful to hear.
Ever has done what he's done.
In a very pseudo way. I'm saying this in a very sarcastic way because, the pseudo wonderful is.
Well, we know what he was talking about when he said ever, because nobody's as great as he is anyway. So we know that. We know that. But anyway, so we're gonna move on. Yesterday was the celebration of the Martin Luther King birthday holiday.
An actual leader.
An actual leader.
An actual leader.
Exactly. That yet and still that this same person is still trying to rob him of his dignity,
because he's a businessman, right?
Oh, how could I forget? Business wise, you shouldn't be celebrating his birthday. You shouldn't be celebrating the greatness that he brought to the planet, not just to America, but to the planet. Y'all forget that Martin Luther King was a worldwide figure. And he was just not in America. All right, he helped change the laws and put people accountable and all over us. Number one, that's why he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, anyway, so. But that's two black people that won the Nobel Peace Prize that one just trying to steal it.
Oh yeah, Obama got his.
Obama got one
through meritocracy, right?
Yeah,
he got it through merit.
Okay, doing the right thing, being involved in communities and helping feed people in the communities and and help getting people out to vote and all those type of things, and and was a constant voice for the community. But since all you can speak of is how many golf clubs you got, golf clubs and clubs that you have and own, let's see if there's a prize that will be given to you, at the end of the day someday. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and just take a moment to celebrate with Dr. King's celebration on yesterday. Let me just say this. I did get a chance to listen to Bernice a few minutes from her, the ecumenical. First time I've ever heard, Bernice really being on point. Because she was on point yesterday. In her delivery, right?
Well, I support her more than Alvida King, whatever her name is.
Oh, that one.
Okay. That other one.
That other one. So she was. I have to give her a lot of, a lot of props for yesterday and how she addressed it. She was really on point yesterday for first time. So anyway, let's go back and do this little simple things that this little AI video that was put together, and it just shows where the country has gone since his death, and it focuses on those people that have sacrificed their lives for different reasons, that are really no fault of their own.
All right. Years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sad. Years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. This nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Wow. What can you say? What can you say?
Well, I can say that he did the work, but then you had all of us who are still here who's, it's something to think about. I always say, we have gotten so comfortable. I ain't even talking about, we're talking about black folk at this point. I could give a damn. We have gotten so comfortable. We gotten too comfortable, right, especially on these internet streets to show that we really, really have dropped the ball. And the saddest thing about it is, though, you got a lot of black MAGA. God bless them. God bless them. With the situation with Don Lemon and Nicki Minaj, great distraction for Martin Luther King's birthday yesterday. I could give a damn. The saddest thing about Nicki Minaj is, and there was a great discussion on, it wasn't on the Clay show, it was on somebody else's show, but it's going to come to me. But the fact that they're still utilizing black celebrities and entertainers to be the speaking voice for black folks, see, that shit has never changed. I'm so tired of them utilizing black entertainers. Mm-hmm. Like, why? What's the point? But then I understand the point. The point is the fact that you have to utilize ignorance to get through to a people who do not see it for themselves. And the saddest thing is that we have intellectuals out here, and they are out here doing the job. I'm not gonna say they're not out here. They are out here. Yes. But mainstream America, like, you got people like, networks like TMZ and CNN, they utilize these entertainers to get to say they're speaking up for us. They're not speaking up. It just depends on who they're speaking for and to. And have people like the Republicans to utilize Nicki Minaj, who's a Trinidadian, because she ain't black. I'm so sorry. She's not. She just look like it, but she ain't black. She's not black.
No, I'm not arguing.
No, I'm not arguing, but I'm just going to keep repeating it. She's not black.
No, she's a woman of color.
She's just another brown person who came over when she was 5 years old. She has found a loophole in the to get the American dream, to get to the American dream. And now she's found a way to pardon herself and her, you know, other whatever situation called husband and brother. And now we're stuck with dealing with that. And Don Lemon, you know, that's a situation in itself where I felt like at the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do. He was a journalist. Right. And I'm talking about the situation with the church situation yesterday, some time back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he walked into the church. Right. But on that, I'm going to make it short and sweet. You know, Martin Luther King did what he was supposed to do during his time, but are we doing enough in our time? Right. No, we're not. Right. We're not doing enough, and I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead, Charles.
You gonna throw it to me? Hey, I can't. There's nothing I can say about that too. This is the one thing that confuses me, and I don't understand why it's not there. Is the empathy within the Black community? We've all gone through these same struggles, if not more. But we don't seem to have compassion or empathy for our fellow skin folk because we feel like our story is so unique, but it's not. We're all living the same pattern, the same journey. We all have these same disadvantages and the same advantages. There's nothing in particular that actually sets us apart from anybody else except for our skin tone. We're basically living, how would we say it? We're living the lie that's been told us. But we all seem to think we're different. And that goes for MAGAs, Democrats. There are people out there going, I want to fight against the Democrats because they never gave us what they said they're going to give us. Okay, well, if you're fighting against them, why aren't you fighting against the Republicans who never gave you anything and taking things away? I don't understand what the problem is. Why you can't go against the people who are taking things away from you? You're so busy worried about what you didn't get versus where you're at. And that's the problem that we all have. We're not appreciative of what we do have. We're so busy complaining about what we don't have, what we can't get. But what about the things you do have? You have blessings within your life that you should be happy and proud of now, that you don't pay attention to, that you're going to lose later and realize I missed out on all of that because I'm so busy complaining about the stuff I don't have.
Good point.
Well, I'm going to be true behind the truth. I'm not as grateful, too. I ain't going to lie to you, Charles. I ain't. I mean, you know what? I'm not ignorant to the situation as to add on to it because at the end of the day, why are we so busy trying to one up the other? And that's what kills me about the situation with liberal and conservative, especially with the Black culture. It's like, well, you know, we have given all our votes to the Democrats. But then if you think about it, though, if you really sit down and really think about this, and I always tell people, what are you expecting from the federal government, which you do not expect from your local and state government? I don't understand where we are all confused. Then you are expecting so much from Washington that you have a state house and a local house. Why are you not at least more aware that that is right in your neck of the woods and you're worried about what Washington can do for you? You're not even, and the saddest thing about the situation is that we have discounted voting all across the board. That's the Black folks, including everybody else. You know, you got a bunch. You have a younger generation besides us Blacks who don't vote. So you know, at the end of the day, when you discount that, when it boils down to now, we got midterms coming up. Hopefully, you got what they call martial law. You got people begging Trump, let's do martial law, please. You know what I'm trying to get at. You know, we got midterms coming up. Are you ready? I doubt it. I really do. And I'm supposed to be hopeful, but I'm not hopeful. We ain't opened our eyes to the BS shit. So, you know, if you don't wake up to what's actually going on and notice that you have a state and local elections coming up along with the federal, then I don't know what to tell you. So for Black people who complain, well, you know, the liberals didn't give us enough. Well, I don't know. You haven't invested. You don't invest in trying to get enough while everybody else has invested. Right. Mm-hmm. You're not even waking up to what's going on in your backyard, which is so sad, you know. And that's the situation with Black folks. I think we're always looking for a Martin Luther King to come through and tell us what's up. Well, I think that's the kicker. Right.
Yeah, and well, humans, they crave, to be led. Unfortunately, okay. I mean, because
the sheepdog.
Well, this is why scripturally they've always referred to humans as being sheep. Okay, because sheep are the dumbest animals that they are. Okay, and they have to have a shepherd to guide them in a certain direction. Because one thing about sheep, they keep grazing and keep moving in one direction. Okay, they never do. And what the shepherd does is guide them in two different areas. This is why Christianity has taken that to another level and all that type of stuff. But the shepherd would guide them into greener pastures. Okay, where Psalms blah 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 all this come from. But symbolically, that's not a factual, it's symbolic scripture. But anyway, but it does hopefully help you understand that the mentality of the human species is dumb. Okay, and it needs to be led, all right? But that has been manipulated so much over time. There's no time for Bible study tonight. But the thing about sheep is that they will keep going one direction. And if they keep going that one direction, guess what? They'll fall off a cliff.
That's true.
Okay? Yeah. They don't know when to stop. So is that not like referencing a lot of things that humans do? And they get on one track and they don't know how to stop. And we can take that on different platforms. They don't know how to stop. So what the shepherd, quote unquote, to do in that time was to guide them another direction so they don't fall off the cliff. Because one fall, they all fall.
Yeah, this is my issue. It's strange coming from somebody like me that loves to play sports, because as in sports, it's teamwork. We have to work together to achieve the goal, to win. And then also I was in the military, but I didn't last long because I'm just not up for one person. Somebody demanding me and telling me when I can take a dump, when I can take a shower, when I can eat. You can't have that much control over me. I get it in the system that I volunteered for, but still it remains. It's like, and this is not to knock anybody else. Please don't. My dad and my mom were in the Eastern Stars and the Masons, but these type of fraternal organizations, including the Fraternal Order of Police and the rest of them, sororities, fraternities, they're these things that people need to have some type of leadership and guidance. They like a hierarchy. I want somebody to tell me I want to be a part of something. And that's gang, even street gangs. I want to be a part of something that makes me feel like I'm connected. And I get that. I've never been one of those people because I'm not a follower. I never have been, never will be. I'm just not that type of person. I have a mind of my own. Yeah, there are people that Michael Eric Dyson, I believe, great mind. A lot of these people out here, D.L. Hughley, intelligent people, but I don't agree with every damn thing they say just because I think they're smart. I still have a mind of my own. I still have a life of my own that I have to be accountable for. So just because I think you're smart and you know a lot, and I have a deep admiration for intelligent people, you're still not my God, my boss, my daddy, or my mama. You're just somebody that I can have a conversation with, that your intellect captures my interest and makes me think, makes me wonder, makes me have something to I guess wonder about how to circulate my thoughts. But you're not the end all be all. And I'm not gonna say I'm always right, because there's times I've been against people saying things and I turn out I was wrong. But that's only human. That's all it is. And until we stop about somebody leading us, who gonna be our leader? Who going to when you gonna be your own leader?
We and what you're saying there will hit on a very strong point. There is what is considered the experimental area of thought. Okay, so the experimental area of thought is where you step out there and you experiment on that thought. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the right thought for that situation, whatever, but you've taken the initiative of what you felt you know about yourself and put it out there. And if it was correct, it was correct. If it wasn't, then you know what, to go back in and reprocess that and do something else different. This is like what my philosophy about with no mistakes. There are no mistakes. Society has branded us in the fact that mistakes make you're wrong. Well, we've been programmed to think about that. Okay, mistake. Okay, what is considered a mistake? I look at it as an opportunity to do something different the next time. Okay, because following that, there is a next time. Okay, there is. Now, if you keep rehashing that opportunity and not necessarily taking, or like I just said, exercising that thought in a way that it shifts, then maybe at that point, here's another one. Like I just said, we got to go on. Like the sheep scenario. Okay, sometimes that we're so programmed in an idea, we keep going in that programmed area. Okay, and then eventually, guess what? We run to the cliff and we fall off. Okay, so we need to, appreciate, yes, there are those that are leaders. Everybody on the show is a leader, okay, at the end of the day. And those that are not leaders. But it's seemingly that the non-leaders are the ones that have the more of a voice these days than the ones that do.
Because they got money and status.
Well, no. Let's not give them that kind of fuel. Okay, we have to take the responsibility of the people.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we had, because you got influencers, you got all this stuff. See, the influencers are leaders, but they lead in a different direction. They lead in a wrong direction. And so because that humanity is so gullible, just as sheep, that they follow these two things. They follow this, they follow that, and it keeps going until they find themselves falling off cliffs, at the end of the day. But anyway, we got to go on. So we're going to see Martin Luther King. One more video right here. This is, of course, that girl, Monty. She did a nice breakdown on Martin Luther King and letting them know, what are you guys doing to celebrate this day, and why are you guys addressing Trump in the way that you were on this particular day and allowing him to do this? But anyway, I'll let her tell the story.
We need to be careful that we don't whitewash today. And I'm not talking about MAGA and conservative Republicans who don't want to announce their allegiance to white supremacy, who are posting quotes like this saying it's all about peace as a way to tell protesters, sit down, shut up, behave, comply, and everything will be fine, while those same people actively support the state violence, the constitutional violations that those people are protesting, and support the administration that is systematically dismantling the laws that King fought and died for, which is the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Civil Rights Voting Act of 1965. Because everybody wants to be a fan. In retrospect, during King's lifetime, there was never a period where the majority of white Americans support him. But what I'm saying is, for people who want to be
What happened?
Situation with
There you go.
Can you hear me, Charles?
I can now.
All right, hey guys, we're gonna try this. Yeah, with this technical difficulty with the internet, every time we get on the show now here lately, the internet want to act up. Look at you. Okay, here we go.
We need to be careful that we don't whitewash today. And I'm not talking about MAGA and conservative Republicans who don't want to announce their allegiance to white supremacy, who are posting quotes like this saying it's all about peace as a way to tell protesters, sit down, shut up, behave, comply, and everything will be fine, while those same people actively support the state violence, the constitutional violations that those people are protesting, and support the administration that is systematically dismantling the laws that King fought.
All right, guys. For some reason or the other, it's not playing. Maybe we'll try to get it back a little bit later. We're gonna move on because for some reason it's not. I can't even hear you, Charles, at the moment. It's not allowing us to play there. But anyway, so we'll shift just for a moment in conversation and go to our motivation guy, because he's got some rhyme for this. Because the questions that we were asking, the sheep syndrome, the leadership syndrome, and all that. And this might be a good point to, highlight on areas of concern that he was mentioning. Hopefully this one will play.
When I started a podcast back in 2020, it took me about 3 months before I actually published my first episode. In those 3 months, I kept telling myself, I don't have anything important enough for people to want to hear. So I was taking what I thought about me and then projecting it onto everybody else. This was an internal conflict. I didn't think I was worthy enough to put something out that people would listen to. And then I started making podcasts. I would release them every Friday. No, I would do it and I'd maybe make 2 podcasts a month. And I was like, okay, I probably need to put something out every week. And I started to have to be intentional and be consistent with myself. And it was challenging at times. But then you fast forward, and now my podcast has over 1 million downloads. It gets over 40,000 downloads a month. But people don't realize it first started with the internal battle of me overcoming myself and this negative self-talk. And then consistently every single week recording a podcast, even when I was getting 1,000 downloads a month. I didn't give up. I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I said, okay, this feels aligned. Let's just do this now and see where it goes. And this is how you accomplish goals. And I look back on it, 1 million downloads, 40,000 downloads, it doesn't matter. It was about who I had to become along this journey. I don't say to myself anymore, well, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Now, it's irrelevant whether people want to hear what I have to say. I'm saying it for me now.
Well, Jiminy Crickets, I've been on here for almost 3 years. When are you gonna give me 1,000 downloads? And I've been talking and running my mouth for over 20 years. Ain't nobody listening to me.
They're listening, but and we have to, Dal and I have to, remind ourselves weekly of that, because we look at this vision, and this is the 6th year of this vision. Probably at this point, I'm getting probably at least 500 shows over 6 years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's 500 investments on a weekly basis that we have made into humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but you also gotta remember,
we've made it.
Not everybody likes or participates. I found that out when I went to Chicago. People in my neighborhood go, "Man, I get my news watching your Facebook page." I'm like, "Huh?" And they go, "Yeah, I watch your Facebook for news," but nobody likes it or comments, but they all watch it. I'm like, well, can you at least throw a like up there sometimes, or at least share it?
I guess
what happened?
I guess it's I don't know. Did we get your last point when I was cycling? This buffering is going on heavily today. I agree with you.
Oh shoot.
Television program from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. Most of the time they sit with a remote, typically men especially sit with the remote and they channel surf. So if that moment catches them, they'll stay there for a moment. Okay. Mm-hmm. If that catches them, they'll stay there for a moment. And it's the list goes on and on and on and on. So I would like to believe, that whether we've said some things that are very controversial, whether we have said things in tyrant and rage from time to time, because I've gone off on here, and and I may have had to apologize for the delivery, but I didn't apologize for what I said. And what was important at the time, because sorry guys, so we're buffering again. Anyway, but I can honestly say that if anybody from this point forward or go back in the previous shows, you cannot ever say that you never watched a Truth Behind the Truth show and not got something that was very vital and very important for your life. Never. Because we didn't put anything out there that would extract anything from that. The only thing we extracted was the idea that you may not have should have had, but it infused you with an idea that you should have had. To move your life better for us. So yeah, we would love today when we get to 40,000 downloads, at given one particular point in time. But when you are teaching an accountability level of understanding, it just goes to show that humanity is not ready. And until we get ready, we won't be ready, so that we can stay ready.
Well, they're ready once you are Oprah.
Oh well, I've already been
Oprah. They are ready once you. What you say, Charles?
Well, one thing we can't say is it's a show only a mother can love.
Listen, you support what you want to support at the end of the day.
Go ahead, Charles.
What you say?
No, it's a show only a mother could love, because my mom loves it, your mom loves it. Hey, it's only a show a mother could love. I love my mom when she looks at it.
I think sometimes, and I ain't gonna be listen, Charles. At the end of the day,
go ahead. That's your point. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Charles? I'm so sorry. At the end of the day, we could, at the end of the day, we could care less. I mean, God bless those who really watch us and support us. But at the end of the day, I want people to support. I want people to watch. But then you will be surprised who actually do watch, and who actually supports.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it is very disheartening that you have family that are people that you would think that they do follow you as friends on your YouTube, on social media, they don't support. No. And it's okay. It's all right. Because, it puts back into perspective that people will support what they want to support. Absolutely. So don't get in your feelings. If I don't put that step, and I don't think, to be honest with you, I have a situation right now where at the end of the day, I'm supposed to be advertising for somebody at this point, but I don't think this person watches our show. Wow. So at the end of the day, my thing is this: you do what you think is best for you, and you do what you do what's best for you, because at the end of the day, you would want somebody to help and to support, and I don't mind supporting those who support me. Right. So I look at it like this: people will be people. Right. That's it. Right. People will be people, and I'm not going to force. I'm not Christian. I'm sorry. I'm no Christian. I don't force my belief down somebody's throat like that. I know I'm not Islamic. I'm not Islamic either. The only people that I think truly who don't do that are Buddhists. And that's just me being real. I'm not that type of person to want you to support or to, at the end of the day, you will do what you think is best for you. That's how I feel about it. Good. All right. So on to the next.
So we're going to stay in the motivational moment real quick. Then we're going to we got two more videos with that. Then we're going to hear a different perspective on what Michael. Well, yeah, heck yeah. But the thing about it is, and we'll get into him in a minute. But if you guys are on any part of social media, it has been this explosion of Michael Jackson. And I think it's such at the appropriate time because of where we are. And if we take a step back from, he did this. No, what are you doing? Okay, at the end of the day, this man created a life for humanity. Right, at the end of the day, he did. But anyway, I don't want to go there just yet. We're going to this second. We got another point here. Here we go.
Yeah, we got to understand what happens when you're about to level up, when you're about to hit the next level. Life's going to hit you the hardest. It's going to test you the hardest, and it's not doing it in a quote unquote bad way. All it's doing is seeing, are you really who you say you are? Because you got to understand, remember, everything we accomplish is always going to coincide with the version of us of who we've had to become. But if we're about to hit the next level, we're about to upgrade, we still have a little bit of residual muck from the old version of us that life's like, before you get to the next level, you got to get rid of this stuff. And that's when we get hit with the hard stuff. That's when we get hit with the big boss, the test. It's for you to bring awareness to, I still have this pocket of me who lives in scarcity, and I'm about to hit this come up of abundance. I got to clear that. And then once you do that, you pop up to the next level. So this is why it's darkest before dawn. That's why you have your biggest test right before the breakthrough. So this is why it's so important. Don't give up. Don't give up just because it gets hard.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I love his point right there because, there are things in our day-to-day existence, that, really wants us to push us to giving up. And we feel like giving up is the answer, and it really isn't the answer because, that means that we're not even stepping into the stock that we have been made of. And I'm not necessarily meaning flesh and blood. I mean, in our eternal being, and we tend to, it's just because of culture, it's because of what we've been taught, it's because of, but we fail a lot of times at the fact of understanding our eternal being is what makes us. But because that eternal being has not been necessarily spoken to on the level that we expect it to, we run to the external. And that external does not, in many cases, speak to who we are, what we're trying to do, what we're striving to do, because external only going to see how they see you. Okay. And you can do your best to try that. You can do reframe it. You can say, I'm this and I'm not that. And they're not going to pay attention. They're not going to pay attention. They're not. Because it's either you're not doing it their way, you're not seeing it their way, and you're not successful if you don't do it their way. Well, but
that's what you were talking about in the sheep situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So our encouragement, Go within. We've been saying go within, go within, go within, because that is where your internal strength is a part of you that will exhibit it on your external as you develop it on the internal. Okay, I'm not gonna say any more of that. Here's our next one. Charles, you got something you want to add to that?
No.
No, I don't want to delay. Do you got something you want to add to that?
No. No.
Okay.
Here's what I do in my life. This is when the game changed for me. When I realized that my life is nothing more than a reflection of whatever I believe, and all of my beliefs are malleable, meaning I can shift them, I can change them. Well, hold on. What do I want life to look like? Okay, let's map that out. Now I need a belief system that supports it, because my belief system will end up creating everything in my reality. So if you want to live a life with a happy, healthy relationship, then you first need to have a belief system that says you are worthy of having a happy, healthy relationship. But if you have a belief system that says you're not lovable and love is hard to find and everybody always cheats on you, then how in the world are you going to have a conflicting belief system and then think you're going to get the results that you want? You must identify your beliefs. But because they're invisible, this universe does the job of bringing up what your belief system is. They're called triggers. Triggers are your friends to show you where the belief system is that doesn't support the life that you want to live.
I think that says a lot right there, especially the trigger system, because the universe, life, however you want to look at it, these triggers are to let you know how strong you are. Biblically, they say, well, God never puts on you more than you can bear. And then all of the other scenarios that go along with that. But these triggers, and then they come from people, they come from circumstances, they come from family, they come from all of these other type of things. But it also, at the same time, it makes you draw pause to who you are. And if it's something that is challenging at that particular moment, that means, as I said just a minute ago, you got to go within and know that that strength is there to overcome or to deal with that particular thing that triggered you, and that's good. Y'all think about that for a minute. Y'all think about that the rest of this particular week. What is triggering me? What is triggering me? But the trigger should be something that I should process to make myself internally better than what I thought that I was all along. And it kind of goes back to the man in the mirror and all of those type of things, which we'll probably touch on that again in a few minutes. Any point with you?
Yeah. I mean, I hear what he's saying. I definitely do. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate because I know this is a debatable topic. I mean, to be honest with you, when this life is so freaking ridiculous at times. Mm-hmm. You think you're doing the best you can do and the best you know how to do. But see, sometimes life is really one of those things that you're always having to wake up and combat each and every damn day. Mm-hmm. And the trigger is, I don't want to keep combating this. I don't want to keep dealing with this. And to be honest with you, sometimes you want to believe, well, you don't want to, but it's unfortunate that you do. That this life is so damn hard that you can't get above the ground. You can't get above your one circumstance. People, you dealing with financial situations. You're dealing with all types of, relationship situations. Sometimes your family ain't up, they're not helpful in your situation. Friends ain't always there, and probably, what's that song? I'm going to keep repeating this on The Greatest Love of All. I have to sometimes listen to that song to rise above. It's hard in this flesh. Yeah. And that is it. But sometimes a lot of us are not built like that. A lot of us are not built to have that type of wherewithal because it is hard.
Right. But the key is that we all are built for it. It's just that when we have to face it, you don't realize that you are built for it, and you have to jump in and tap into it when it's there. But if we shut it down and not believe that we're built, but that's what we just talking about. You're creating, not you in general, but you're creating a belief.
You're creating. Don't sugarcoat it. We are creating.
You're creating a belief system. You've already creating or fueling a belief system that you're not built for, but you actually are. So what has to happen is that you got to redirect the belief system that you have. And you start surrounding your thought patterns with the level of personal success. Success doesn't mean the monetary end of it at the moment, but you've got to reframe the thought that's there. And that's what he's saying, because we create belief systems, for ourselves anyway. We like to expand them on, other stuff, but we have belief systems within ourselves. This is why people don't like gay people. That's why people don't like straight people. That's why people don't like black women, dark women, white women. We create belief systems to support a narrative of our thoughts. But the true situation is that the belief system we should bring is one to elevate ourselves to another level. And that's what we don't do, because it's easy not to. And it's much harder to do because the hardness of it requires us to change. It requires us to change our thought. It requires us to change our focus. And it requires us to change who we think that we were.
Well, send me to the countryside. I need a vacation.
All right, we're going to move on to jump on real quick. And we're going to wrap it up with Michael because we lost a lot of time here with these buffers. But anyway, this is another point that our brother Javon, he's very popular out there. But this particular clip, it goes into how belief systems are formed based on spiritualism. All right. Okay.
Did you really just tell this guy not to look up to false idols? Meanwhile, the central figure of most of you all's denomination has been arriving for over 2,000 years with nothing but postponements and reinterpretations. Generation after generation sang the same songs, waited on the same return, and was told their delay was faith. Empires have rose and fell. Technology has even leaped forward and power has changed hands. But the promise has still been conveniently postponed. You know what's even more embarrassing? It's when you melanated brothers start doing this whole young God, young king. Please stay away from those verbal costumes. Listen to me. You will never compliment someone into an inner framework they have never constructed. Get you some money, get you some knowledge, get you some land. This is the mindset of modern men right now because we have confused having something with being something. We've confused ownership with meaning. And in that confusion, manhood has been reduced to acquisition and acquisition has been sold as self-development. But let me give you perspective. You have to accept my apology because I usually don't even respond to people whose bathroom look like it has carpet. But I have to make sure the people know the truth because social media is rewarding people with rented engagement. Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and contentious stupidity, Dr. Martin Luther King. Throughout history, many people left us the same quote to keep our minds open and never accept the limitations from other people, especially when it's voices offering physical explanations to spiritual questions. And I'll leave you with this. Calling me a false prophet isn't a conclusion. It's usually the shortcut people take when thinking gets too expensive. That's why tithing is so popular, because it's the layaway for avoided thought.
Wow. So,
but it's so unfortunate that people who are of any religion would even want to say that to anybody when you have to go into a building to hear from one person each and every day. I'm not each and every day, but once.
This is good. Stay there.
How can you say that regardless of what one thinks? You shouldn't say anything at all. You should sit back and be quiet. Just because somebody has a certain way of thinking, a certain way of doing things, you should not. And that's why I'm so sorry. No. I'm so sorry for saying I'm sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry for saying I'm sorry because I'm not sorry. That's why I'm not in the church anymore. That's why I don't go to church anymore because it's that type of thinking of calling people false prophets and you going to hell. That is the reason why people are stepping away from that. Because at the end of the day, you have missed the message or missed the mark. Because we're not all a monolith in our thinking. And that's why that is so freaking dangerous. That's why I don't get in arguments with people who will put God over everything. At the end of the day, we are who we are.
We're the gods of our life.
We are who we are. And to be honest with you, if that's what you consider being whoever that you serve by calling people out through, because who was it? The bishop who called the lady a $2 whore? Wouldn't, whatever. I ain't putting the bishop. Yeah, the saddest thing about that is, why would you even do that? And you are supposed to be above all of that. You're supposed to be all above that, but that puts in perspective that you're still a man in sheep's clothing. You're up there speaking like a man. You're speaking like a human being. You're supposed to be up there with God, supposedly, but God don't. How the hell do we know God talk like that? Just tearing everybody down, just to tear everybody down. God, you know, that what triggers me about the whole entire setup of things when it comes down to any religion. Why would you sit up there and tear anybody down like that and think that's justified and right? But that's why people like to say, well, you're just church hurt. Yes, I am. I don't want to go back to church and be hurt. I don't want to go back to church and be hurt. I don't want to be abused just to get for you to take my money. That's why we're throwing stones at Donnie McClurkin. And we're throwing stones at Kim Burrell too, and all of these people, because they are the representation of the bullies that we have had to grow up and deal with. So what he's talking about when he talking about people calling him a false prophet, that is an unfortunate situation to have to go into an institution that believes in forgiveness and love and walking in love, and that's what you do.
Because you don't agree with
that. Because you don't agree. In the practice of Jesus didn't even do that to people, to non-believers. Jesus didn't do that at all. He just told a parable and went on by his business. Whether you believe it or not, he didn't sit up there and call you out your name, which makes me always think, what y'all are not Christ-like for me to want to walk into your church.
Wow, Charles.
Now call me a false prophet.
I heard that. I'm with you, darling. I take the role of leadership to heart. Like Charles Barkley said, I'm nobody's role model, but I do know that I stand out to certain people and I draw their attention. So I have to be responsible with how I act and what I say. With that being said, there has to be an understanding that, you know, whatever words I speak, they stick to certain ears. So I have to be responsible in what I put out and what I follow and what I do. There are young men who are out there that I didn't notice until recently said, yeah, when you be saying things, man, I'll be listening to you. And I'll be like, wow. So I have to think to myself, I have to be responsible. I just can't say all willy-nilly and do things, you know, because there are people who listen and actually pay attention to what I say. So there's a strong responsibility that comes with that.
That's true.
You know, accountability is the key. You know, it really is. And I think the one great thing about tonight, and I hope that you guys have joined us later or whatever, that you go back and watch this, you know, just replay this throughout the week. We're not ending it. We're going to end on Michael tonight, but I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Darren and Charles said. You know, it's all, number one, it's about self-love, okay? And this is a place where I think we all are lacking in some form of fashion. You know, and then we make up for that in so many other areas. But the key element, like you said a second ago, is where we should be understanding and building up that self-love. Is that we wanted to assemble ourselves together once a week or whatever, 2 times a week. We're not getting it from there. You're not being taught your self-love. You're not understanding the self-love. You're not understanding that you were created from love and you are love. So how can you view yourself as love when you're being told you're not love? How? It's impossible. You know, but for some reason, because of the idealistic ways that book has been so, I mean, just so misquoted, so misunderstood, and all of the other things that are involved in that. And y'all know what book I'm talking about, okay? The one that you all have made a shrine. I know y'all don't like me calling it that, but it is what it is. Accept the fact. All right, you created belief systems around this book, and those belief systems do not support the elevation, even the cause of Christ, because you guys are lacking the cause of Christ, and you have put yourself in a place of judgment, which you don't have the right to do at all. Okay, we're gonna move on because I don't want to start preaching tonight. So we're gonna take a shift real quick, and you know, I'm gonna start with not one of my favorite people. I gotta be honest, I'm gonna particularly care for Mr. Farrakhan, but I'm gonna start with him, and then we're gonna transfer over. But I really want you, and I'm saying we and I, to listen to what these people in these short days. And this has been some time ago when Louis Farrakhan made this statement, or I said this to his congregation. But we had a valuable individual that walked this planet. Okay, and was born in a family of musicians. Okay, one of 10 children. Okay, and no one, it's like nowadays people are recognizing the value that this human being brought to this planet that, in my opinion, was an angel that was sent from God. Okay. And these two videos are going to elaborate on just what his lyrics said to humanity and what we didn't pay attention to. What we did not pay attention to. We always say art imitates life, song imitates life too. It does. Now, see, now I'm gonna say this real quick. Y'all listen to that bullshit out there that's on all that hip hop stuff, but you missed the true opportunity of knowing who you are, your self worth, and what government and humanity has done to you. You didn't listen to him, but you can quote everybody else. All right, here we go.
He wrote, "They don't care about us." They don't care about us. They who? See, he's sending his people messages out of his pain. They don't care. Skinhead, deadhead. Everybody gone mad, situation, aggravation, everybody allegation. In the suite, on the news, everybody dog food, bang bang, shot dead. Everybody's gone mad. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Beat me, hate me, you can never break me. Will me, thrill me, you can never kill me. Jew me, sue me, everybody do me. Kick me, kite me, don't you black or white me. That's what Michael was talking about.
And you know what? I remember, because I was young, but I remember when they did not want to play that on MTV because he said what he said.
Yeah,
See, what we got going on with the media was going on back then too. But the saddest thing about it is it's now so in the open right now. But Michael, he took a lot of beating. And even in death, he's taking a beating. But see, this is what makes me sometimes laugh at the media, because we got a fool in the White House right now who's giving it to the media each and every day. Yeah. And the saddest thing about the situation is the goalpost has been moved constantly. When you had people back in the day who were so humble, respectful, who didn't even say any, you think about Obama, I put that in the same, Obama in the same equation. These people were respectful, but the media, they took advantage because they could. Now they're getting their lashes today through this man. This man, Trump, as much as I don't care too much for Trump, but see, it makes me laugh that he's treating these very same people, because he's telling them to their face each and every time they have a briefing that y'all gonna write some bad stuff about me, but I don't give a damn. Y'all take y'all's asses out there and y'all go eat lunch in front of world leaders. How can I not laugh at that? Because in the 90s, I saw the way they treated Michael Jackson. I saw the way they did him, calling him the self-proclaimed king of pop. He never called himself the king of pop. Elizabeth Taylor called him the king of pop. But then it took him to die for him to actually be the king of pop. The Martin Bashir interview, I remember that. I was in high school when that happened. And that right there, it puts in perspective how much the goalpost has been moved since then. So now that this man, and I'm happy that Farrakhan read those lyrics, because it puts in perspective how powerful he was as an artist of his time period. Nina Simone was an artist of her time period. We don't have artists of our time periods anymore. I mean, you can go as far as Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce, whatever you want to say, but these people, they only do so much, but Nina stood in her truth. Michael stood in his truth. Prince stood in his truth. But the saddest thing right now is that the mediocre or the mediocrity of these types of people that we have now having to deal with, it makes me laugh right now because people ain't right. People. We would never have another Michael Jackson. We would never have that type of talent because that talent was real as fuck. Judy Garland was real as fuck. Aretha Franklin was real as fuck. Whitney Houston was real. James Brown. These people who we now, these were people who knew they were gifted and knew they were powerful too. Then come Michael Jackson, who just eclipsed all of those people. And he knew he had the power. He knew what to do with that power too. We got people right now, they go on these streaming sites and they just throw all types of dirty language and money and they say all types of crazy things, and you got idiots who follow these fools. Right. I'm gonna leave it right there. You know what? Yeah, Michael is the GOAT. Michael will always be the GOAT. And Chris Brown, I love Chris Brown, but you ain't the king of pop. I'm sorry, man. No, your discipline is, you might dance around Michael, but you just don't have the heart. And I'm just gonna call it what it is. Yeah. There will never be another king of pop. Go ahead, Charles. I talk too damn much. I'm sorry.
Charles.
Man, Michael Jackson was letting us know what was going on the whole time. If you ask me, that's why them people was on his head like that. But let's break it down for real. For example, do you remember the time? And then he threw in a cast full of black people in Egypt while asking, do you remember the time? And he was probably thinking like, damn, how much more blatant could I get about it? Want to break down some lyrics? On Beat It, he literally said, you have to show them that you really not scared. You playing with your life. This ain't no truth or dare. Then he told them people, beat it. For the ones who be questioning like, how could them people ever move like this? What's wrong with them? He literally said, it's human nature. That's what they do. It's human nature. It's just in their nature. Man, stop playing with Michael. He literally had the Earth song dancing in the music video full of flames and destruction, talking about what's going on with the planet. He literally said, what about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things you said we were the game? What about killing fields? Is there a time? What about all the things you said was yours and mine? Like, what happened to it? Because you got to realize Michael was the biggest in the world, and these are the type of messages that he was putting in his music. Really listen to what he was saying. What about the seas? Heavens are falling down. I can't even see. What about Africans? I ain't even through. What about nature's worth? It's our planet's womb. What about animals? Turn kingdom to dust. What about elephants? Have we lost their trust? Like, literally, he just breaking it down like, damn, like, what y'all doing to the planet? What's going on? Like, what y'all on? Do anybody see this? Am I the only one who see it? And this is Michael Jackson, the biggest artist the world has ever seen. You got to realize what he was putting on the line, even making this type of music, pushing this type of messages. He's literally standing in front of the destruction saying, damn, like, what about us? What about us? And Michael Jackson, who literally said they don't care about us, because as many jokes as they make, he ain't never forget where he came from. No, he literally tell you straight up exactly what it is and how he feel about it. I just think for a second, how do you think them people felt when Michael Jackson literally said, leave that 9 to 5 on the shelf and just enjoy yourself? Life ain't bad at all. Just live it off the wall. He literally he giving the secret recipe out. He saying it straight up. Or on Dirty Diana, how he literally tried to warn people about how they try to come at you with lust. And that's one of their strongest weapons. That's one of their main things they use. He even told all the musicians, she know when they come to town, every musician's fan after the curtain come down, she wait at backstage doors for those who got prestige, who promised fortune and fame, a life that's so carefree. He was telling everybody what's going on. And for the people who saw themselves in his shoes, the same people who he was inspiring, he's telling them like, hey, just beware. Know what's going on when y'all come in. Don't go for it. Just keep on going. How many of the artists who you see compare themselves to Michael do the same things as Michael, dropping these types of songs right here?
Starting something is another one. Want to be starting something, but like I say, there ain't nobody coming close to that. I'm sorry, nobody will come close.
You know, and as I said before, I'm glad that, you know, his legacy is being celebrated, even though there's a downside to those that don't want to, you know, allow this celebration or resurgence of him, you know, continue, because he is being introduced to a whole completely new generation. You know, I remember this quick story. We're going to wrap it unless Charles got something. I remember I was my buddy and I and my grandson and my granddaughter. We were at I think IHOP or something like that, and they had to be 4 and 5. You know, Jeremiah's 20. Jeremiah will be 21, and Jordan's 19. Will be 20. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting in the booth, and what was on Off the Wall came on. And Jeremiah stopped and said, "That's Michael Jackson, isn't it, Papa?" Mm-hmm. I was like, and we looked at each other. Mm-hmm. What? You knew?
There you go. That's powerful.
That's powerful.
Before I knew music, I knew Michael Jackson.
Oh my gosh!
Before I knew music, I knew Michael Jackson. I didn't even know. I just knew of him before I knew of anything that was musical. Mm-hmm.
I remember.
No, I'm sorry. I knew the Isley Brothers before I knew Michael.
He said,
"Every time," but I hear what you're saying.
Charles said,
I understand, Charles.
No, I do. But let me say this, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this. Charles, I'm going to drop a nugget in it. So, I remember the day that he transitioned, and I think I was working at LA Fitness at that time, and the CNN was broadcasting what was going on at the moment. And I had never seen a gym just stop moving. And people everywhere in that gym, they could find a television. Everybody was standing around that television, waiting for the, for the news, for the when Jermaine came, of course, and declared, his transition. Nobody could say anything. People, yeah. I get emotional about it, but people just stopped and they just teared, and the whole gym just got quiet. People left. They didn't say anything to anybody. Yeah. And it was. I'm not sorry for getting emotional, because I was really emotional that particular day, because when you realize that the planet and humanity has lost something so great, through the ignorance of people, and you get impacted because the loss is there, yes, but then the loss that was there, you know what I'm saying? But from that point forward, this man has just, I think death has redeemed him. Death has redeemed him in so many, redeemed him financially, redeemed him all these things, music wise. And there will never, at this point, and enough of the planet keeps saying, never will anybody ever rise to that occasion. Never.
Never.
They the other day that they were
putting, will never come close.
Right. They were saying that, somebody was putting out there, well, Beyonce is bigger than this bitch, and then bigger than Michael Jackson. And then the guy said, the guy would say, well, they're supreme artists, but he was saying that Beyonce said things, but no, because number one, she could never be bigger than he is, because he was her idol. So you can never be bigger than your idol. At the end of the day,
it's totally different,
right? And that's a different scenario. Totally different. And what people embrace about her, they would not embrace about Michael at the end of the day. Because Michael, anyway, I'm not gonna get into the music, but into the words and all that type of stuff. So, but Charles, go ahead and say, brother, we're gonna wrap it up.
I'm just gonna say, one block over on my neighborhood, there was a song called "Love Jones," made by a group called The Brighter Side of Darkness. Daryl Lamont was the lead singer, 12-year-old. He grew up on my block, next street over. And that was during that same Michael Jackson time. Even though the mother got busted for welfare fraud, she bought all the instruments and stuff with stolen money, because she worked for the welfare system. The house, everything was done with stolen money. But, there's just to say that during those times, there are so many, I grew up in Chicago, so there's so many legends, so many people that came out that you just didn't know. Even though Gary was only an hour and a half away from me, there was still so many people that we looked up to. And the sad part about it is that during that time, the 70s and 60s, all our music was about uplifting, tragedy, about lessons learned. It was so much to be pulled out of the music. And I know this is gonna kill a lot of folks, but that's why we need R. Kelly back.
That's anyway. But we'll end it with this. Okay. So, when you were saying that, it reminds me of I think the most appropriate and the greatest album that Marvin Gaye ever put out was What's Going On.
No, we need Curtis Mayfield back.
That's what I'm talking about, Donald. So put it back on them, boy. Put it back on. That's what I'm talking about.
We need that back. I love R. Kelly, but see that I always say there had to be a disruption to R&B. But then, you know, when it came down to R. Kelly, he could write. Yeah. But then he brought a new sensation where who was it? Keith Sweat said the other day, R&B was about foreplay. It was more word savvy. That's why when I was listening to the Jill Scott new song, Don't Play With It, she ain't going, it's not to the point, it's not direct. That's R&B, that's neo soul, to be honest with you. But her words, the way she used her words, you can tell what she's talking about without going direct.
Right.
And probably wasn't only R. Kelly, it was some other writers during the 90s, but they kind of messed it up for R&B. They really did, because nowadays R&B ain't worth listening to right now, and it's not even about uplifting anymore. It's just that music, period, is not about uplifting unless you want to go outside the box. But the saddest thing about this situation is the fact that this new generation, they really don't know, nor do they care. That's why they're so busy recycling old music and making it new. You know what I'm saying?
There's no substance.
There is no substance. You got new artists who are taking music from the 60s and revamping them to make a hit out of it.
That's where talent is lost. There's no talent. There's not. But we got to go.
Let's keep talking. I can stay all night and talk about this music thing because to be honest with you, Beyonce, I'm going to let this be the last thing I'm going to say. Beyonce will never be Michael Jackson. There will never be another Michael Jackson. The impact is so different because of social media.
Right.
That is not organic.
Right.
It's not organic.
This guy said too. He said it as well.
It's not organic.
Because of social media, the impact is so different.
It's not. So she's not going to have that type of a power and appeal like Michael Jackson, nor Chris Brown, nor Adele, nor Miss whoever. What's her Shake It Off? What's her name? Taylor Swift. Sorry, I'm and Gaga too. These are. That's just the impact is not that. It's not what it was. Right. No, sorry.
It's compared to be ticket sales rather than voices to a community.
No.
All right. We have had a great night tonight. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the conversation. We kind of kept you down a progressive step. We started out with Dr. Martin Luther King, and the vision, and I appreciate the AI that was done to show the vision of where we've come as a community of people. And one thing we've got to understand, Black people were the focus of the civil rights movement, but the civil rights were the benefit of all people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It was for the benefit of all people. All right? And if you fall into a situation where it is not legally corrected, then you have that to fall back on. Mm-hmm. If it's not legally corrected, okay? There's another story out about that, but maybe we'll pick up that next week about white men feeling like they weren't the benefits of civil rights. But anyway, I ain't gonna put that up tonight because that one came out the other day, and I was like, all right, y'all way out of your league now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you gotta start some shit that you don't want to back up. All right, but we'll stay on that up note. As we said, we're gonna leave out with Michael once again on "Man in the Mirror." Okay, and I just again want you guys. This was an acapella version that he did, I think, for the MTV Awards or whatever, whichever one it was, and it was just so powerful, in that. But his vocal was on point. There was no auto tuner and all that other type of stuff. His vocal was on point. He did it acapella. Think about the words. It's a very short version of it. Think about the words and just make sure you, as a human being, you're going within and identifying what you see as the man in the mirror. And hopefully it'll bring about change.
Well, deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make that change.